I'm going to click on it now. This way you guys have it to hear back from or listen to in the future, and we can refer back to this. So you take the call for a potential new case. And has he talked to you about what questions to ask them about the case, or do you just automatically schedule them to come in and meet with you guys?
Well, I've had a lot of PI experience previously, so I don't really a lot of guidance there. So I know what questions to ask.
Okay.
So I'll take most of it and then I'll schedule them to come into the office.
And they all come in the office, right?
For the most part, I mean, we don't really get that many clients, to be honest. I mean, the time that I've been here, we've only gotten like what, four clients, 5. So yeah.
So have you guys ever signed anybody up using DocuSign where they don't come in and you just email their or through DocuSign send them their contracts for them to sign and send back?
No.
He recently started using DocuSign. I know for immigration, he's probably done like 1 or 2 clients that live like in other cities, but most of our clients live within the LA County, so they prefer coming in.
Out of the city.
Yes.
Okay. When you meet with them, so I'm assuming on those few cases that you've done, Edna, you've started at the beginning of that case by setting up the claim, sending out letters of representation, getting the accident report. Do you have a list of things to follow as soon as you open up a new one of those cases?
I should, but I don't. It's mainly like what I've already memorized, like what's already implemented in me. So I already know, you have to make sure to get all photographs, all like insurance information, health insurance, like dependents information, everything like that has to do with like property damage. So I'll open up the claim, and that usually takes a long time. And then I'll send out rep letters because that's the most important thing. So I already have like a little structure of like what needs to be done, but I should go ahead and I should follow like a paper checklist.
Do you have, is CasePeer set up where you've got these items in there to follow up on?
Yeah.
Is it structured where it has a checklist for every case that you open?
Well, CasePeer does have like a lot of different categories, which will remind me like, oh, health insurance, okay. Oh, schedule appointments, all right. Oh, dependents information. So it's kind of already structured to like make sure that I gather up all the information.
Are you putting the insurance in the insurance tab and the medical providers in the medical? So you're putting all the information in CasePeer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Karen, what about the immigration cases? Does CasePeer have anything that fits for you with immigration cases?
No, so I don't think CasePeer is an immigration program. We basically just put contact information in there. We write down our notes. Other than that, the system does not apply to us.
Right. There's a lot of case management programs that are adaptable and they can change certain aspects of it to create new case types of firms that need that. I didn't know if CasePeer was one of them. So when you talk to an immigration client, do you track the telephone conversation or the notes anywhere?
Yes, on CasePeer. So we do use that system just for.
Okay, but it doesn't track anything else. You just put notes and their personal information.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay. Do you guys have headphones for your phone, for your telephone on the desk? Do you have headphones?
I do.
You do? Okay. Do you not have them, Karen? Would it be nice to have some?
No, I don't talk to clients
Okay,
like that.
let me see. Is there anything that you guys have thought now that you want to ask me? Remember, we're going to try to help streamline some of the things you do so they don't take as much time, or so that your process is a little bit smoother.
Yeah, we have a few things that we listed out before this meet. I don't know if you would consider it complaints or any like suggestions.
I want to
I
hear
will.
it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Sorry, you froze.
I want to hear everything. I want to hear the good and the bad and the ugly.
All right, so let me get comfortable over here. So we were mainly really concerned about notes. There's times where notes are forgotten to be taken, especially when you're having conversations, even if it's like a brief conversation, like a 5-second conversation. I still think that it's really important to go ahead and add it to case fear. Just
You're
because.
talking about the attorney.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because we need to make sure that, let's say, we're not bothering the client if it's not necessary.
Sure,
So,
absolutely.
so let's say if I miss a call and somebody else gets a call, then, they need to add the notes. That way we make sure that we don't call them again and just, bother them in their daily life. So that's one thing.
That's absolutely understandable.
Or just also like when calls are placed, because most of the times calls are placed and then they'll call back and then we're both confused on like, oh, okay, if it wasn't me, then we're just assuming it's him. And then we don't know what to tell the client, like why he made the call, or it's most of the times things I can help if he's out of the office, but if he doesn't make a no, I'm totally confused on why he called him in the first place. So
Well, one thing that I always suggested with my firms is when they have a case management program that they put notes in, like you have case peer. And this even goes for the attorney. If I'm calling the client, I'm going to go in there with a quick note and say, tried to call the client to ask about this document, had to leave a message. So I've put a note in there. So if the client calls back, and if he's put a note in there about his attempt to call the client, you can see that note in there, so you'll know why they're calling back. So if every time any of us are trying to call the client, and whether we talk to them or whether we leave a message and ask for them to call back, if we put a note in their case, then it's obvious to everybody what the action is and what's going on, so everybody's up to date. So I think maybe we could use that better, and I will certainly mention that, because that would cut down on a lot of the confusion for you guys if he's talking with them or placing the calls and you're not really sure why the client's calling you, or what to tell them when you do talk to them.
correct, yes.
I got you there. I understand that. Okay.
That kind of brings me to another point where I really think that instead of just calling the client impulsively, I really think we should meet up, with, let's say if it's immigration, Karen and Donish, or if it's PI, myself and Donish. I feel like we really need to have like a little meet to gather up our thoughts before even calling the client. Sometimes we do call unnecessarily, and then maybe he provides a different information, I provide a different information, and that kind of contradicts everything. And then the client's like, is she right or is he right? So yeah.
Do you have weekly meetings with him on the cases?
Karen does. I don't.
Okay. And that would be good to do that. Also with putting notes in the client's cases, Vista has that's called a non-negotiable. If I've done some work on the case, you guys have a central repository. That's that case peer program. If you're working on the case and you've put a note in there about what you've done today, then there's no question from him when he has access to that immediately to see what's going on with the case and would not have to stop and question you about has this been done or has this not been done because you put a note in there. You've had conversations with the client. He's had conversations with the client. So you see how that works. If we've got a place to put the information, we need to be taking it and putting it somewhere so that that information is helpful to everybody that might take that phone call from the client. I also would recommend a regular schedule, especially with PI clients, a regular schedule to talk with them. And I bet in Case Peer, there might be a checklist or some item, we could take a look at it, that would be like a 30-day reminder to call that client, maybe every 30 days, just to check in on them and see what's going on and put your little summary notes in Case Peer so he has access to it. And I can remember so many times years ago working with firms where clients would call in and complain to somebody or complain to the attorney. I don't know what's going on with my case. Nobody ever calls me. Nobody tells me anything. But I could go into the notes of the case management program and see how many times that person has been contacted and how many times people have actually talked to them and left them messages. So it's kind of a cover your tracks when you talk to them or when you attempt to talk to them. If you've got a note in there, just like you were saying, Edna, I believe you said you don't know whether the attorney was right or whether the client was right because of how the meetings aren't, or you don't know what he's done and he hasn't told you what they've talked about. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, yeah, because I will go ahead and review the case here before anything, like, let's say, if I had a conversation with him prior, I look at my case peer notes to make sure that I'm not, contradicting myself. But if he gets
Right.
added the notes, well, I don't know what is said there. So
Is he using Case Peer much?
yeah, he does use case peer. I just yeah. I
As
haven't
far
really
as
seen it.
immigration, he doesn't. He only makes notes for incoming mail. But when he calls clients, that's where kind of Edna gets confused if they call back because he doesn't make notes on any incoming or outgoing calls.
Okay, so he needs to use that more for immigration to help you guys know what's going on. Okay. Okay, what else? What else you got for me?
Okay, so another thing is, well, back to the same thing with clients, equality. He usually will say, for example, last week with one of our clients, he said he would charge them a fee to provide certain more type of information that was not included in the initial contract, and told them that the initial contract was already done and that if they needed more work to be made, because there was errors going on that were not our fault, it was the client's fault. So he told them, because it's your fault, we've already tried to correct it numerous times, there's going to be an additional fee. Then he just went back on his own and he called the client and told them, it's okay, don't worry about the fee, we'll go ahead and do it at no extra charge. And then he provided them with information that he initially said he would charge them for, and he did not make a note on that. So then I was a little more confused when he came back around and told me to create another document using this information. And you know, so there's that. He's really back and forth with his word, and he has priority, or we will call it like favorite clients that he prioritizes when they call, and it kind of just throws off my schedule if he schedules somebody the next day, and he gives me an assignment and I'm just like, okay, it could have waited like a couple days or next week. It didn't need to be immediate. So there was that.
There's also scheduling. So just like Karen said, like there's sometimes where he will prioritize a certain client, which completely understandable if it's reasonable, but sometimes he just wants to schedule it, like let's say last minute or reschedule it last minute, and it does kind of. I've gotten a lot of reactions because I'm the one that has to reschedule and like focus on the calendar. So I've gotten a lot of like negative reactions from clients saying like, "Oh, you're calling again? What, you want to reschedule?" So it's kind of like it puts us in a really harsh situation. And I've also had an incident, not so long ago where the client came, he was like rushed, he wanted to be attended right away. And he was with another client and it kind of surpassed the time that he was supposed to be with that client, and the one that was scheduled at the time that it was, he was like, well, you need to be more organized with your schedule, you don't, so I get the backlash of like all
Right.
the negative
He needs
negativity.
to be more attuned to the client's needs when it comes to how they've been scheduled and waiting. Gotcha.
Yeah. Or let's say like client like unfortunately like right now, the client was scheduled at 9, the client was late, and he still kind of met them even though she was like what 40-50 minutes late. So there needs to be like a real structure implemented.
Okay.
That was that thing. There's no- okay,
So we need to work on the calendar and work on prioritizing or keeping schedules for clients. We need to keep all clients happy. I know we want to have our favorites, but all clients are a referral when they walk out the door. And we want them to refer us more cases, and not refer us for the wrong reason. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of things about the schedule and talking. I get that, absolutely. And maybe using case peer, definitely using case peer more for his immigration cases, for the notes, keep you updated. So what we want to do is, his hopes is to continue to grow. So if he wants to continue to grow, we've got to have some things in place that are running smooth, so that we can handle more cases. We can't handle more cases if we're not consistent in the way that we schedule them or handle them, or we changing the contract on this one and maybe not on this one, or making concessions for friends, or favored cases. We got to work some of these little kinks out so that we can begin to take more cases in and know exactly what has to be done on them. Do you guys create folders on your computer to store client information in, save documents?
Yes.
What drive is that? Is it like,
Regular drive? The Shahbaz from drive?
yeah, is it like an S drive or the DT drive or something?
I don't know, it's like iCloud,
Oh, yeah.
maybe.
Are you on Microsoft 365?
Yes.
Okay. So where are your folders? Where are your folders in your computer?
On the server.
We have like a separate server that we can go ahead and save documents, and that's where all our
Okay.
papers are at. Yeah.
And another question, this applies mostly to personal injury cases. How do you pay for medical records request, or when those invoices come in?
I request like a check from the attorney, and then I track that in my cost folder. I've been doing it on the server, but I'm starting to use CaseSpear to track down.
Do you usually get the check pretty timely, or do you have to wait a long time to get the check?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't really have that many PI cases,
Okay.
so I make sure that I follow up with him afterward.
And you request all the medical records and receive all the medical records, and How does who opens the mail during any day that it comes in?
He does, but if he's not here, then we will, and then we'll take notes and we'll put it on the case bureau, and then we'll leave it on his desk. And then if it's PI and he knows that it's PI only, then he'll just hand it to me and I'll open it and I'll save, scan, and everything.
So if he's not there, you open it and then put it on his desk, right? If the mail comes in and it gets put on his desk and he opens it, if it's something that you need to know has arrived or has come in, do you find out pretty quickly?
Yeah, he'll just leave it at my desk and I'll review
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I think that I've got my questions answered on this sheet. Oops. Hang on, guys. I'm still here. I'm trying to open up the second document. Okay. Edna, you've been there for 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Karen, how long have you been with him?
About two something years.
Have you guys had any regular meet? Well, Karen, have you had a regular meeting with him on a review of how well you're doing, or
Yes.
okay. Has that been yearly, or how often do these meetings come up?
It's been about every couple months, maybe like every 6 months.
But that's to talk about how things are going and any areas of improvement.
Yeah, evaluation.
And you haven't had one yet, right, Edna?
Yeah, I had one a few months ago.
Okay, okay, good. Do you guys ask your clients at any time or towards the end of their case for a review? Like a Google review?
Yeah, we do.
Do you know if you've been sick, if do you ask them to do that while they're in the office, or do you send it to them?
The attorney asks that they do it in the office. He kind of tells us to like
Follow up with them.
Yeah, or have them do it in the office if they come in. I personally don't like
harassing
them over review.
Yeah.
So I kind of just like, okay, like I'll just bring it up and then text them a link in a couple of days if they don't do it, and then just leave it at that.
Wonder how easy it would be, or if it would be better if we had something available, like an iPad maybe, that had the review up and you just handed it to them to do while they're there.
Oh, that would be a good option. Yeah.
It wouldn't be quite as embarrassing to ask them about getting it, would it?
No. Yeah.
What do you think, Karen?
If you have a tablet, at most of our immigration clients are elderly or uneducated people, so they don't really know how to use this technology. So most of the time, they'll just tell us like, "Oh, yes, I'm gonna have my son help me, my daughter help me."
Okay.
So I guess we can help them here in the office.
Well,
but that'll take up time, you know. And
that would take time. We need to revisit that. Google reviews are good. because they show up on the website when people are searching for an attorney. Okay, let me see what else I have. Do you have things that you give out to them, what we call swag?
Yes, he has magnets during the initial consult if they sign up, and he has pens. That's all the swag we have.
Yeah.
We like swag. Who doesn't like free stuff from businesses, you know? I like it when they're t-shirts, something that's pretty,
Yeah.
really useful.
Yeah, I think Edna suggested that, but he did mention it was not within his budget. So
Yeah, but maybe there's something else too.
mm,
Let's see. Okay, so I don't think I have, let me ask you this question. Edna, how do you know you're doing a good job?
How do I know?
How do you know if you're doing a good job?
I don't know. I feel confident in what I'm doing.
Okay. We ask that question. I ask that question to everybody I work with. And it's not a trick question, but it does cause some people to stop and have to think because they don't know an answer to that question. You know, so we've heard it all. But feeling satisfaction in what you're doing is a good answer. That's a good way. Or just seeing that the clients are happy. What about you, Karen?
because most of the time he asks, you know, if he asks in regards to a client, or because we do our weekly case reviews, and we have a list of all the clients we're working on. He'll ask me what's going on, and then I'm pretty up to date with all the clients. So
And that makes you feel good.
yeah, because then, you know, I know I'm not falling behind on anybody.
Right. Okay, good. Well, you had an answer. I thought you had an answer. That's a positive. And things are going to be great. We're going to do everything we can to get him set up so that you guys can start growing, bringing in more cases, advertising some more. Maurice, you haven't met Maurice. I think you've had some emails with him. He does more of the management coaching. I've been in a couple of the Zoom meetings where we've had both he and I have been on with your attorney. But now it's time to bring you guys in and start working with you to find ways that we can make things a little more efficient. So this is just meeting number one. We'll have a couple more meetings. I'm going to summarize what I have, my questions and your questionnaires and the answers that you've given me today, and come up with a plan on some things I think we can look at and try to implement. And I'll be in touch with you to go over those with you, get your feedback, see what we need to modify, and if there's anything else we can move forward in and work in the future. Okay? Do you guys have any more questions?
No,
No? How's the weather there today?
it's pretty warm.
What's the temperature around there in the summer?
Like 80s. Right, it's supposed to be 82 today.
That's not bad. I think it's like 93 here today, and the humidity is really high here, so it's very humid. The air feels heavy and damp. I don't think you guys get the humidity out there that we do.
Depends on the summers. We've had that before. I think like 2 summers ago, it was like 90s during summer, and it was just insane.
You get a shower, you go out the door, and you feel like you need another shower. So it's just air that you wear, is what it feels like. Okay, ladies, well, I'm going to give you back to your day so you can get started. And I thank you for your time. And you'll probably get an email from me before the end of the week to schedule our next session. But you've got my email address. So if you think of anything else, any other questions come up, shoot me an email so I can include that in my thoughts and our schedule here.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.